Hey, hey.
What's up?
Not much. Would you shut yours down?
Dude, somebody's like, hey, Wadle, it's about time you hosted your own chat. And I'm like, all right, fine, you assholes. So I start one, and I'm like, all right, here's the link. Somebody's like, oh, hey, Panther already beat you to it. I'm like, fuck everybody. Oh, I'm sorry, live. I said, the heck with everybody. Because that's my uh, family friendly, I guess you call it. Fuck it, whatever. See how I'm going to talk how I want to.
Yeah, I didn't jump into edges because my damn pup has been barking and going non-stop for the past couple hours.
Oh, check my fucking lower third now. Just had
Cool.
options. See that? Sig
Yep.
brace believer. I'm sorry. How about believer? I actually hate Justin Bieber. There we go. I think it's legal. I think it's still fucking legal. As long as you don't buy one of those like modified pistol tubes to hold the sig brace further back, you're okay. Because the ATF letter, now I read like a screenshot of a bunch of text that I assume is the actual letter, and it said it's like the
They'll be here,
sig
here in a
brace.
bit. They'll be here in a bit.
All right, that's fine. Oh, did you tell them that my chat is no longer
Yeah.
available?
I saw that. I saw what you said. Yeah.
All right, good deal.
Okay, that's why I
Anyway,
wondered.
like I was telling Panther, what I read what I believe is a screenshot of the actual letter, and it said, "quote the the buffer, like not the buffer, the buffer tube like forearm adapter, the sig brace itself is meant to allow a person to shoot like an AR pistol one-handed with added stability from the forearm." And it said, "quote as long as you don't redesign the sig brace to be fired from the shoulder, it's still legal. If you
Indeed.
redesign, it said if you redesign it to shoot it from the shoulder, then it becomes illegal." So as far as I'm concerned, if I buy it from the factory, install it like it's on a pistol, and still shoulder it, I have not redesigned it. I have misused it, but I have not redesigned it at all.
According to
If I
yeah,
were to buy one of those like pistol tube adapters made for the sig brace to hold it further out so I have a longer length to pull, that could easily be said, oh, you bought something designed to misuse that sig brace. You bought something that will redesign the sig brace and use it in a way it's not supposed to be used. But if you just put it on a standard slick-sided pistol brace, you did not redesign anything. You didn't alter its design in any way. And according to the letter itself, you aren't in trouble. Now, just for all the NSA agents listening, I don't actually have a pistol brace because I'm too broke to afford one. And I'm probably just going to SBR my shit anyway. So it's like, it's really not going to be an issue for me. But if you wanted to be that guy, I think you could still get away with it. And I don't mean get away with it as in like, oh, you're slipping against the law. I said you can get away with it as in you're still 100% legal according to the letter that they themselves wrote.
oh yeah, I have that letter with me. I post a video of me shooting that the way everybody was putting that video
Well,
when they got
even
it.
even if the letter said if you shoulder it, you're in the wrong, you would be fine because your video was uploaded before that letter came out,
Oh,
and they
exactly. Yeah, no.
retroactively get you.
So you
Yeah.
didn't take yours down, Chris?
No.
Fuck
Why?
that.
It's before.
Don't
It's
take it
way
down.
So do you get a bonus if Chris gets raided and taken away while it's live?
No,
Hey,
no.
if he sends me his
F,
P57 lever actions, then
FX Hummel will get arrested before me.
Military Arms Channel will get arrested before all of us.
Yeah.
Did he shoulder it in a video?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. FX Hummel
Yeah.
did a lot of videos with him shooting
No,
that.
no. Tim. I mean.
Tim, yeah, Tim did that.
Shit,
Okay.
he put up one 2 weeks ago. The screenshot, like the thumbnail for the video, is him shouldering a pistol brace.
Okay.
Okay, but G-Webs, you missed it. What I said was the letter, the screenshot that I saw that I assume is of the letter says, as long as you don't, or it said, it's illegal to redesign the SIG brace in order to be shouldered. So what I take that to mean is, as long as I do not alter it from its original configuration, I'm safe because I did not redesign it. I took it as designed, as a pistol, from the factory, and misused it.
I don't think so. I didn't read it yet, but
Misuse is
somebody
not a
read it to
felony.
me when I was driving before, and it said, I thought it said something to the effect of, if you bring it to your shoulder, you are redesigning it. I thought that's how
Yes,
it's worded.
exactly.
It says,
And
no, it says if you redesign it to be fired from the shoulder. It never says if you fire it from the shoulder, you redesign it. It says if you redesign
Well,
it.
then we
no,
got to
no,
read it,
Fire.
because
no,
if
hold on,
if
hold
it's
on.
correct,
Okay,
then that's different
you,
meaning.
Weedle, you try that. I'll come visit you in prison, and I'll bring you. I'll give you money for commissary. The issue is that
He doesn't have one.
by shouldering the SIG brace, according to the ATF, you are redesigning it. It was designed to
How
be
can no? I'm misusing it. I'm not redesigning it.
Yeah, according to ATF
You
though, they
cannot
say that
redesign something by using it wrong.
Well, no,
exactly.
but
I
that's
know
exactly
that.
what it says. It says the misuse is in now redesigning it, right?
Either something
Yeah.
was crossed out or I read it and interpreted it differently than everyone else did. And I don't think it's the second part.
Okay. Well, no, I haven't even read it, so I would think if it's the way you said, then
I
bingo,
read
exactly. Then it's like saying don't fuck with it or don't do something to it to make it a stock. Then you're good to go.
See, I think they're trying to get people to think that's exactly what it is, but it's cleverly worded. What
But
I
is it
read,
worth?
what I saw, I think, is a screenshot of the actual letter. Now, it may be someone's
Throw a link up.
pretty close
I'm looking for
interpretation
the talk
of the
about
real
guns.
letter, and I didn't read the real thing. So, like I said, if anybody takes my advice, then they're even stupider than I am.
That's the one on the front page of Gun Channels.
So yeah. So my question is, you can interpret it however you want, but is it worth prison time to say this is how I felt this letter was telling me to fire my pistol?
No. It's
Well,
not.
it's kind
Is
of
it
worth
worth
it for
prison
one
time
person.
to me?
And that guy gets a lot of credit because somebody's going to probably need to be the one to initiate it, right?
It only takes one
This is
person to
what bothers
prove
me.
them wrong to
What
make
bothers
everybody
me-
else right.
Go ahead.
It only takes one person to fight them and prove them wrong to make everybody else in the clear. Or to definitively say this is right, or definitively say this is wrong. It only takes one person to make that decision.
You're right. You're right. What bothers me about this entire thing is that they released this letter at 4:55 Eastern Standard Time, so right before they closed at 5 o'clock. Tomorrow Saturday, people are going to go out and shoot. People are going to be shooting their pistols with with SIG braces without realizing that they're committing felonies by shouldering it because they haven't seen the letter because it's the day after. So that it really bothers me that that's.
Quick question: how many ATF agents are at SHOT Show? Or really, how many ATF agents have any of us ever seen?
How many of them are at SHOT Show? Probably at least 18, if not 24. Who are they? They are literally the guy who's in charge of the technology branch and the people that write the letters. And it's the people that are in charge of manufacturers, because a lot of the reason they're there is for manufacturers to ask questions. And there's a lot of people there from NICS and the 4473 type of questions, as well as people there to deal with licensing, FFL type of issues, and that's just the ones I'm aware of. So it's usually a booth that is it's downstairs. So if you've watched SHOT Show videos, upstairs is a different story. Upstairs is like the big fancy car show when booths might be like if you think of SHOT Show as blocks, there's roads and there's blocks in between them. Some of those booths are as big as a whole block. Downstairs the booths are all much, much, much smaller, and they're all like at a regular trade show or, what we see Comic-Con or something, barely, 10 feet by 10 feet type of booths. ATF has like 3 or 4 of those booths downstairs, so they have a fairly large chunk, and I think they only throw them downstairs because the government isn't trying to spend the kind of money it costs to go upstairs, and SHOT Show isn't giving it to them for nothing, I'm sure. So, that's fine. But it's a pretty good presence, and it's not just obligatory. Here's a couple of people. It is literally the people that do the job.
Check out
Well,
Chris, did you read that article already, Chris?
which
I have
one?
two
The
things
one,
to
the
say
one, I,
about
the
that.
one I just showed you, the one I
Yes,
posted.
sir. Yeah.
I'm reading that as we speak.
About the part where he
Number
gets busted
one,
with weed, right?
Oh
number
yeah.
one, the article that Chris or Good Guy posted about a guy in California being charged with owning an SBR just for having an AR pistol with a SIG brace on it. California has been proven for
Oh
illegally
yeah.
seizing and seizing people's private property anyway, so they're probably breaking a federal law.
Well,
Because
no, there's
that
specifically it
no no
says
no
in
no
that
no 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 no.
he's breaking a state law.
That article. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Read the second paragraph. Oh, go ahead.
In the one that Chris
I
posted,
didn't have
the
it.
guy is more in trouble not from the federal law. It's the state law of California that has something written.
They jumped on that one. Yep.
Well, if they have something like on a state level about the SIG race, then yeah, he's in trouble. Well, anyway, on number two, on my most important point, G-Webs has been to SHOT Show a lot more times than I have, so if he says there's ATF agents there, I'll believe it. I honestly thought that they weren't there because I've never heard of ATF having a booth at SHOT Show, but if G-Web says they're there,
They are. They're at
I
the
have to
NRA show too,
believe
by
on
the way.
that.
I was gonna guess like 3 dudes. I didn't really realize it was gonna be 18 to 20 guys. But now the way that you explained it, I totally understand it because they got so much shit to keep an eye on.
No, they are there because manufacturers might be like, hey, I need to build this. Can I do that? Or who do I talk to? Or I got the idea to build something new. Who do I? They are there for real legitimate reasons, and it's both barrels. Everybody's. I don't know how big the department is. The department, I mean, I don't know. That's not everybody in the ATF. Obviously, it's not everybody in the technology either. So it's the heavy hitters. So it's the people that do the research and the agents, not just the office help. But look at that second paragraph is exactly what you just said, dude. The second paragraph of the actual letter, which is 071, is the link off the front page of Gun Channels there. And it says, however, when the device is redesigned for use as a shoulder stock on a handgun with a rifled barrel under 16 inches in length, blah, blah, blah. And then it just defines a short barrel rifle. So it says, when the device is redesigned for use as a shoulder stock. So again, taking it, and that doesn't say to me just bringing it up to your shoulder, redesigned it. Nothing about that says bringing it up to your shoulder.
Exactly.
They can't say bring it up to your shoulder because they're the government. They're robots. But they can say you can't redesign it for a shoulder stock. They're just re-emphasizing their point from before is what it seems like to me.
See, I take that to mean if you get one of those altered pistol tubes that won't allow it to slide up to where, like, it would go on a normal pistol tube,
Oh, that
you
might be.
redesign the pistol tube to accommodate the
Yep.
6 feet so that you can shoulder it.
Although when I'm 6'6" or whatever and my arm's longer than other people, I like to see them challenge me that I needed I don't want the thing on my wrist, right? I want it as a forearm guard, and I want it back on my forearm. So that's another gray.
Hey, if
But
you're willing to go to court over that and show more than just your fingertips on camera, like show up to your elbow on camera, then yeah, absolutely go for
That's
it.
what I'm saying. So I think this isn't as bad as it's kind of sounded when I heard everybody talking about it in the vehicle earlier. But I haven't read the whole thing because it does go down here and it says some other stuff. So maybe they clarify it to maybe more precise if I read on.
I'll reread it real fast, and I'll just make sure that me and you didn't miss something that's important.
I think California went jumped the gun there. They found the opportunity and they decided to go for that, or they've been waiting for to do something for it.
But that's state. It's not federal.
Oh, I know that, but they were waiting for it's like, oh, opportunity, let's do it now.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's
here's the other
fine,
guy.
though,
Wasn't the dude in the act of committing a crime? The guy with the...
There's a home invasion.
Home invasion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they got him. It's like
Great.
we were talking earlier about. It's the extra charge theory. You know, it's one more charge to throw at him after the fact. Like also committing
You know
the
what,
crime and
You know what? Though,
possessing illegal drugs, in the committance of a crime, and all this and that. That's all going to be extra time added.
now here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. If this particular case happens, normally they will be plea bargained out for a bigger fish. So if he has something to bargain with, they're gonna lose that charge and charge him with everything else. That's how it usually works.
Do you see what I posted in their G-Webs?
No, hold on, because I just read further down, I don't know which paragraph, but it's much closer to the end of this article, which is the letter. So much closer to the end of the letter, it says, because the, okay, let me go back up here, it says the, in clarification, okay, that's that, then they go, okay, however, the ATF has received numerous inquiries regarding alternate uses for this device, including use as a shoulder stock. So basically, from what I read you before, all they did is define the damn thing again, and then they clarified why they allowed it to exist. Then it starts up again. However, the ATF has received numerous inquiries regarding alternate uses for this device, including use as a shoulder stock. So now they're getting right to the nuts and bolts, using the brace as a shoulder stock. They defined the brace, they've defined what an NFA item is, and now they're saying that they've gotten a lot of questions about using this non-NFA item as an NFA item, or in a similar use as an NFA item. Anyway, because the NFA defines both rifle and shotgun to include any weapon designed or redesigned, blah, 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 to be fired from a shoulder, any person who redesigns a stabilizing brace for use as a shoulder stock makes it an NFA firearm when attached to the pistol, blah, blah, blah. So basically what they're saying is because the NFA defines a gun being redefined into the definition of an NFA, then that would be an NFA. But then it goes on further to say the GSA, or the Gun Control Act, does not define the term redesign, and therefore the ATF applies the common meaning. Okay, redesign is defined as to alter the appearance or function of, and then they cite Webster's Dictionary, for example, and then that's it. And then they talk about flare guns and other reasons that they've stuck to the term of the law. So it seems to reinforce the fact that if you redesign the pistol stabilizing brace was neither designed nor approved to be used as a shoulder stock, and therefore use as a shoulder stock constitute. Oh, here we go. Here's the nut. So go down to the very end of this letter, the last paragraph. The pistol stabilizing brace was neither designed nor approved to be used as a shoulder stock, and therefore use as a shoulder stock constitutes a redesign of the device because the possessor has changed the very function of the item, and that's why they bolded this in red, I guess. Any individual letters, okay, that's where they're saying that anything that may have been contrary to this is now null. And that's where they're resending all the previous items. But this is the killer paragraph, or the killer sentence, and you just missed it because it's way down at the end. Because everything up until this sentence was basically saying it's no big deal. As long as you don't redefine or redesign this device, you're good to go, right? And then they say the stabilizing brace was neither designed or approved to be used as a shoulder stock, and therefore use as a shoulder stock constitutes a redesign. That's the paragraph that kills.
Yep, that's it.
Right there.
That's it.
Well, I think if you had an extremely good lawyer and a shit ton of money, you could find it as common meaning for that word. But at that point, you're arguing.
No,
Hold on. Let me finish my idea real fast. At this point, they defined redesign like they wanted it to be redefined as. So I think that if you had a shit ton of money, you would be able to fight them in court long enough to say that they created their own common use or common word.
No, I think they say that, though. I hear what you're saying, but I think they say that. They're saying, here's the actual definition of the word redesign. However, because people are using it in a way that, we're in this little, catch-22, we're just going to go ahead and say, if you use it as a shoulder stock, that constitutes a redesign. So that's them saying, even though this isn't correct, this is the way we're interpreting it.
And see, I think that first sentence you said in that last paragraph says it all. The pistol stabilizing brace was neither designed nor approved to be used as a shoulder stock, in the first place. If they would have asked when they put it up the patent for approval, and said something, okay, yeah, some people are gonna, use it like this, but can we shoulder it? They would have said no, right? I mean,
But they
I'm
approved
assuming.
what
I take it back. I'm assuming
No,
they
they
would
would
have
have had to
decided
say
that.
no. No, I agree with you. They would have had to say no because and they would have just cited all these definitions of an SPR.
And it said cheesy sentence of it was neither designed nor approved to be.
Well, I think they ought to publish the mailing address of the guy who sent them the letter that this is the response to, so somebody may or may not be able to go burn his house down.
Well,
And
I don't know
No,
about
no,
also,
that.
this isn't a follow-up letter. This is an open letter. This is just
That's right.
all
everybody
right,
probably
fine,
got this, or a
whatever.
That's
bunch of people got this.
Whoever
public
sent
notice.
them letters
They did
after they
this.
said it's
Stupid.
okay, have fun, all of those people need to have their house. But also,
Fine.
Well,
if
we
they
made
go,
we made the
if
point.
they go out in the next 3 days and like try to prosecute people for shouldering the SIG brace, which we now know to be completely illegal from further reading of the ATF letter. Just clarification, I did not read all of the ATF letter. I saw the first half and thought that was it. After reading the rest of it, I realized that I was wrong.
Well, and
But
here's
if
the
they
thing:
go out
it's
and
not
prosecute people
technically
at SHOT Show for
completely illegal either. If you want to
well,
get a tax stamp, you can still do it, and then therefore it would still be legal. So it's not completely
okay.
illegal.
If
Well,
somebody is shouldering a SIG brace on a non-SBR pistol within the next week, the ATF should be prosecuted for injury. That was going to be my last one.
I hear you, but I don't think that they're doing this letter on this day and everything. Like you said, minutes before they close for the evening, on the day before the last week, or I mean the last day of the week before SHOT Show starts next week. I think they didn't do this to prosecute individuals as much as we know that the industry is going to meet next week, and let's make sure that they don't do a whole bunch of deals for SIG braces, because this is the way we're going to rule on this, and we want to make sure they know ahead of time so that a bunch of people don't get butthurt that they just made $1 million deals on pistols or something. Because think about how much Century, because now they've ruined, they because of their fucking assery, they've made it so that AK-74 pistols are good to go, because they took away our freaking cheap ammo and they gave us AK-74 pistols. So they got to know that Century is working on crink folding braces. You know, who wouldn't want a real crink with a folding brace instead of a regular stock?
Oh hell yeah!
They would sell
Yeah.
those things. They couldn't get enough cargo containers to bring them over here.
That's for sure.
But stop for a second and think about not just a SIG brace, but what that ruling, that last paragraph down there in the bottom, says. Any person who intends to use a handgun stabilizing brace as a shoulder stock on a pistol. Now, is this going to bleed over to the tube? Is this going to bleed over to the saddles we see? Is this going to bleed
No,
over?
they
has to.
specifically said SIG brace, not tube.
Yeah, but how can
No,
they do
they
that?
did in this open letter, because this is an open letter about the thing, but that's only because the robot's talking about the SIG brace. But
Right.
there's no possible way. This is a justification. This is precedence. Now that they've decided that it's good, they can now say an act is illegal.
Shouldering is an act.
Then, like I was saying in the other chat, there is no absolute difference at all between shouldering a SIG brace and which the thing, and then taking the brace off and shouldering that exact same pistol with just the receiver extension, which is the buffer tube, which has to be there for the operation of a 223 AR. So if you were to hold that AR pistol buffer tube up against your shoulder, you've in effect done the same action as this letter prohibits. So that means AR pistols are fine, but as soon as you shoulder any AR pistol, you've created a felony situation where you just redesign an ATF or an NFA item without a Form 1. And if that's the case, then how the hell is that any different than the handguard on an AR-15? Sure, it's not vertical, but they can say, okay, the word vertical is in there, and here's the definition of the word vertical, but people are putting two hands on the gun, and the definition of a pistol is a one-handed gun, so we have to just follow our precedent here, and now you can't have handguards on. You guys remember the first AR pistols didn't have handguards because they weren't sure if they could, and they just had they looked like that weird Keltec. It was only about a week or two. Yeah, it was only about a week or two, it seems like, because they figured out real quick that the ATF didn't care about forward horizontal handguards. But this is detrimental. Now that I read the thing, it's the duty of government to enforce, right? We've tasked them with that, and they've now decided that they also interpret, and they just interpreted all AR pistols out of there. I don't know where you stop, because
Well,
at some point you're
and
holding
somebody
two hands on a Glock or a Smith & Wesson or a revolver even, and you're also creating the action of a felony.
that ties in with the previous letter. There's no wrong way to shoot a pistol. Now there is.
Well, they deleted that previous letter though, so that's out of the
Yeah,
question. That
all
that
revoked.
letter is history now because of the red lighting in this article
Well, but that goes to show you the harm that's caused by this letter.
by arbitrary
Exactly.
laws. Well, the harm is by the
That's
arbitrary
why I
law that
think we need to
requires the
find out
enforcement
who wrote
agency
all
to
these letters
interpret.
and burn their houses down.
What? What do you
They
keep
can
saying
leave
that, dude?
Villanova
Because
alone
he's a
next time.
smartass.
I hope you're kidding, because those people are complying with the law. They wrote
Yeah,
a
you
law that
don't do
had
that,
gray
dude.
area. They created a department
No,
of
no, no.
government in order to answer the questions created by that gray area.
Not the
And these
people
people are
writing the
trying to be
letter.
their
The
due
people that
diligence to comply with the law.
Yeah, you cannot take this personally against any ATF employee or the organization. I mean, they're just doing their jobs. I mean,
Not the ATF, not the agents. They're doing their job. Somebody said, "Hey, can I go around one of your laws, like legally?" And they had to reply, "No, you can't fucking break our laws."
Well, this is
I'm going to
America.
be
Dude,
the
You
guy.
still have the
dude.
freedom to
Here's
be a
another way of saying
dumbass
it.
if you want.
They said the national park goes out that way. And then somebody said, well, my land is over here. Can you tell me where the boundary is? And then the government replied, it's right there. And you're saying, fuck that dude for asking the government where the boundary is. Because that's all that happened here. The government said, you can't do stuff. And then they said, that's kind of arbitrary because things evolve. So I tell you what, we're going to build an entire department of our government that is their task is to answer questions from the citizenry about this specific gray area in the law. So it's their job to decide when an individual question comes in, what side of the law that answer is on, or that position would be. And that's all these people did was say, I want to do something and I don't want to break the law. Can you please tell me, government, where your fucking fence is so that I can be on the right side of the fence? And now you're scolding those people for asking where the fucking fence is that they didn't build. So there's no fence. It's an artificial boundary. It's an arbitrary line, and we have to walk up near it because we want to participate in this facet of our lives, and we want to know where where in this minefield we can't wander past. You can't scold us for asking them. That's the way the system is. These people simply complied with the fucking existing law, and now the government said, "You've asking us so much damn questions. We're gonna make a second decision, and we're gonna say that an action is now a felony offense."
Well, when you say it like that, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. I just hate to hear you scorn the people that are really just trying to trying to figure out
I
what the
just
fuck
wanted
they're doing.
people to leave it vague. So there's like a huge gray area, and we could be like all the way over here.
But like you would said, those are
I
the
don't
gray
sentences
necessarily
that
know
they
that
want
would have
broken,
stopped
though.
this, because they could have just as easily reworded this letter, and I don't disagree with you. I understand what you're saying, that if everyone would have not said anything, then we could have done whatever we want. Don't ask permission, just do, right? But I think then they could have easily wrote in this letter, though, and said, we've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and it seems like people are using this thing, and blah, 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 and they come up with the same exact definition. Because I tell you what, nobody went up to the ATF and said, is it okay if we bring in our barrels still? Is it okay if we still bring in our barrels with parts kits? We just want to make sure. They just decided one day, you know how we can fuck with everybody? Let's get rid of barrels. So they could have just as easily come up with this letter without anybody asking questions.
True, but I would want. It's like I'm just saying we have this huge gray area, and people were like, "How far to the left of this gray area can we go?" And at first it was like, "Hey, you can go left of this point," and then people kept asking, "Can I go this far left? Can I go this far left?
Heck
Can I
yeah.
go this far left?" I mean,
Heck yeah.
granted, you're right. They wanted clarification, but in this specific instance, clarification at best would allow people to go as far as they were going, and at worst would give them the absolute minimum of where they thought they could go.
Well,
And unfortunately, our no, I mean, like you're right. They wanted
this is the problem. This is the problem with a law that says some group or agency can interpret the law. So the NFA says ATF gets to interpret the law, and this is why people are put in this 8-ball situation where, gee, what does this really mean? And we've got these robot answers, as G-Web describes it, and that's all we have to go by. And a robot does not give good answers, which is what stimulated more inquiry. I understand the sentiment of, leave it be, but in the end, we need to win the argument of why the NFA is a total crime against us, in effect. Yes. I mean, the last chat, we went into that pretty in depth. I would invite you to go back if you didn't get to hear it, but we kind of outlined where we need to go. And the fact we're like little chickens in a coop, hoping we can get our SIG braces. Good grief.
Hey, you might be a chicken. I'm just a fox trying to figure out how far into the coop I can go before I get shot at.
Well, I understand.
Now the answer is I can't go into it.
Well, the government is playing the government's game of can I get the brace approved or not is in effect pinning us in.
You know what?
And that's when they realize that there's a polecat in the hen house.
You know what? We asked them, hey, help us out. We clarified we want to play with the rules.
You're using the word help freely.
What did they do? Hold on. Oh, God. Hold on. And what do? They decide to turn the rules against us a little bit further than usual. And then maybe later on they'll try to find more rules to go against us because we're asking. See, this is one of the biggest travesty I've been getting as gun owners, as legal, law-abiding gun owners. When we try to stay within the rules, they get fucking annoyed because we're trying to, trying to stay the rules but at the same time have our freedom. So they said, try to fuck us over. Okay. So that's the thing about about us. They're not going after criminals. No, who's gonna probably chop down their gun? I mean, how many sawed-off shotguns have you seen? I've confiscated probably a shitload. They're not take care about them. No, because when we try to inquire, when we try to do something right, they say, let's fuck with them some more. I'm done.
Well, I think that by doing nothing, if we just allow them to fuck with us like this, we're asking for more, right? We're saying we're not going to do nothing if you do more.
Oh no, exactly. We need to do something, definitely, without a doubt. It's just that seems to be the pattern. Every time we try to ask for, hey, we want to stay illegal.
We need to do something as a group, not just do something. We need to do something unified, and we need to do something that brings more weight to our position, and not just be individuals out in the wind. So that's kind of the spirit of the last conversation in the beginning. I mean, silencers, short barrel rifles. I mean, all of these.
NFA needs to go.
All of these little restrictions that were, if you go back to 1968 and look at their origins, are so false in the way they were formed, and they are certainly not an effective tool against gangland violence, or really whether a person decides to commit an act of violence or not. It's just time to make the case for that and stop worrying about ATF interpretations. I mean, really, I see the ATF as really a non-factor, because I think as long as we leave this up to interpretation by them, we will constantly live a life of uncertainty, and because it's always the act of omission. The SIG brace was the world's biggest act of omission. It told us what you kind of can do, but we all knew good and well there was a whole lot of room for what you couldn't do that was omitted because they're the robot. I mean, and lo and behold, here we are with people who spent a lot of money, companies who've done a lot of design and investment, a lot of strategy, just had the rug pulled out from underneath of them. And that's always going to be the case as long as the ATF is interpreting product development.
And that is why I was trying to scold the people who kept asking for more and more clarity.
Your point is valid. It's
Poking the bear. Poking the bear.
but
I
at the
saw
end of the
something else on Instagram earlier today. Somebody said the guy who stirs the shit pot needs to lick the spoon.
well, G-Web said. I mean, there's nothing to prevent the ATF technology branch from reversing or changing it. I agree. If everyone could have kept a closed, tight lip on this, it probably would have just faded away and been part of our lives. But you deal with what you got. Now, there's another.
Well, and then they didn't get gay marriage. They didn't get free pot. They didn't get anything other these like social things by sitting around waiting for somebody else to fight for them. They got up there and made fits about it, and they poked where they needed to poke, right?
Exactly. Hey,
yeah, but they were
would have
restricted from those things in the beginning, and they said, hey, we don't want to be restricted from these things anymore. And they kept fighting and nagging and pestering until finally they got it in their way. We had a good thing going, and we kept pestering and nagging until they said, fine, fuck it. We won't let you have it here.
Yeah, let us have it. That's the point.
Yeah.
We're kind of like raging against like, fuck you.
Didn't they?
They let us have it, right?
That ain't theirs to let us have.
That's exactly
Which
right.
is why we should have let it be, but no, we weren't going to let it be. We couldn't leave well enough alone.
No, yeah. Here's the thing, though. There's a lot of us who, knew better to decide. You know what? We're gonna leave it alone. We got the word. Let's let it be. I was one of those people. Hey, we got the word. They says okay. We'll stick with that. But there are some people, of course, out there just can't resist poking the bear, or maybe they poke the bear out. Huh?
Did that do that for anybody else?
That was awesome,
Yeah.
Chris.
No, you robot over
It
there.
turned into like Max Headroom for a second.
That was right there.
It was Chris Headroom.
Yeah, Chris Headroom. They poked the bear, and they fucking because they wanted to keep I want to keep talking to them. I want to keep talking to the ATF. I want to make sure that I stay within their rights. Within my what do you call this? I want to stay within
The good side.
with their good side. So I'm going to keep talking to them. Oops, sorry. He poked the wrong bear.
Well, but still, I mean, I think we're using the wrong analogy because poking the bear would be like, I don't know, somebody like burning the flag or something, like just doing something for the sake of doing it. I got the impression that a lot of these were people like, I don't want to do something that's a federal offense here. Is this okay? And we all know how letters work. The way they've, again, created this vague-ass stupid laws is a letter applies to the individual, and we all know that. And I've talked about this in other chats, that maybe one way of breaking the system is if this way the system works is that none of us know where we stand with something like a SIG brace unless we have an actual letter in our hand. Well, assuming they don't eventually kill the letter like they did here. But you know what I'm saying? Without a letter in our hand, we can't know that we're on the good side of the law. So we are kind of obligated, if we want to comply, to get that letter that says, yes, thanks for asking. You can have that thing for a while until we change our mind and we renege on all these letters.
See, I see that the opposite direction. Yeah, you say it as you don't know if you're on the right side of the law until you have a letter saying you're on the right side of the law. But I would also interpret that as you don't know you're on the wrong side of the law until there's a letter saying you're on the wrong side of the law.
But the device
I
was
agree.
never
But
designed.
you don't know you're on the wrong side until you're in
I'm not
jail.
done yet. I'm not done yet. In our criminal justice system, you're innocent until proven guilty. You're right until you've been proven doing wrong. So it's like if there's a huge gray vague area and you're like, I was right in the middle of this vague area. Like they said, I could do X, and I, in the vast majority of interpretations, was still doing X like they said. Now, they meant it a different way, but they did not specify this exact way. So I was not wrong given what I was given. But
I hear you. I totally hear you. And
we kept trying to make sure we weren't doing wrong, and then said, fine, we are going to clarify so much more, and now we were all wrong.
I hear you, and I understand. It's sort of like they said. I agree with you. If no one would have done anything, then we could have done whatever we wanted. In other words, do instead of asking permission, because then you're requesting a ruling, right? If we don't ask for a ruling, then we get to play in the gray area, and I totally don't disagree. But I do disagree that we have to have a gray area, because isn't our real goal to get rid of all this gray area so that we just do whatever we want, period? So that,
Well,
I
no,
guess,
I
we need
agree
to
with
at some
that.
point fight that. So
I'm
that's
just
where I'm
saying
trying
that
to see the silver lining.
if we were in the gray area for years and years and years,
It would have been
and
better, yeah.
nobody ever did anything bad with it, we could have easily come up with the case. If it ever, like, okay, let's say
I
this
hear you
letter came
there,
out
yeah.
3 years from now.
If
People
nobody
have been
ever would have
shouldering sig
shouldered
braces
it,
for years.
but if they never would have shouldered it and they would have used it for its intended purpose as an actual arm brace, there wouldn't even be a letter about it now.
Okay, I didn't mean, what I was saying was if people had just shouldered it for, like, let's say
Without
for the next
asking.
3 years, like 90% of the people shouldered it without asking because they said, hey, you can't misuse this item illegally. You can misuse it, not to the point where it's felony.
I
If they
totally
were
get you. And unless somebody got arrested, then everybody can just shoulder it until they go out arresting people for doing it, or put out a letter like this. Then you just do
what I'm
it.
saying is, let's say in 3 years, one ATF agent finally saw a guy doing that and said, hey, that's wrong. And the guy said, no, I've been doing this for years. And he said,
Yep.
fuck you, that's a misinterpretation. And he
Now
arrested
we
him.
have
That guy
the
could have gone to court. No, hold on. Let me
No, I'm
finish.
agreeing with you. We
That
would
guy
have
could
the
have gone to
precedent.
court and said, that guy could have gone to court and said, people have been doing it this way for years. They never made a ruling. No one ever used it illegally. Like, no one ever actually committed a crime
Right.
using it this way. Why is it illegal? If people have been doing it this way for years, no one's gotten hurt, no one's had a crime committed against them, no one has, like, killed anybody with it. It's like there's literally no downside to it, and you've let us do this for years, and all of a sudden now you're saying we can't do it. You would have a very good, like, case, in my opinion, to go to a court to where the court would have, like, not have to say, but the court would be easily justified in saying, yeah, the defendant is right, the ATF is wrong. This entire gray area is now allowed.
No, I agree with you 100%.
But now they've said
in
it's
your
no longer
scenario,
gray area. They haven't given us the option to live in this gray area and prove that it's safe. They've said, we're not going to let you live in this gray area. We're not going to let you prove that it's safe. We're just going to say it's off limits.
yeah, that's a
And
perfect
that's
way of
where
saying
we are
it.
now.
I totally hear you. It's like if you would have gone your scenario, we would have the precedence. We'd be able to say, you prove why we're wrong for the last years. Now that's stifled completely. Yeah, maybe that had to be maybe part of their decision.
You need those court cases to establish, case law. But the real problem with this is they have now openly defined intention, and that's the problem. You mentioned the law, and the law looks at intention, not necessarily deeds. And the fact that there is a federal agent that could literally, I'm at the range on Saturday with my son, and Friday night the intention was changed. I mean, I don't need that in my life. I find it, the court case should be, why does the fact that I can accurately use my firearm suddenly constitute a crime, or should be restricted by tax stamps? I mean, just think about this. This is about accurately using a firearm. The fact that you can be accurate with it is suddenly considered a crime issue to regulate. Insanity. I say we get that in front. That's the court case that needs to be made. I mean, anytime a federal agency can openly interpret intention, you're on quicksand.
I agree.
I think it's all about money. They want that extra $200.
Let me tell you something. The money argument's one that's really been hounding me, because I'm preparing to make arguments to Congressman, but boy, that money's out there, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's why I think strike now while you can. I really wonder how much of a backstory there is to the money now drives the laws that we live under versus any sanity or truth or science behind those laws. I mean, that's the real tipping point, I think, for us as people who want to live free, and we know it. I mean, we hear people describe it in all aspects of life. So that money, woo, that's a scary aspect. And how do somebody posted in the chat there, I wish I had Bill Gates money to go after this stuff. And, do we have a representative government anymore? Well, let's find out.
We have we have a representative government, and they represent whoever has the money.
That's the sad reality we see day in and day out. But we know they want our vote come election time, and their number one objective is to stay in office.
All right, well, did the cigarette warnings, did somebody with money do that? Did somebody with money do Mothers Against Drunk Driving? Not everything is evil and with malintent.
I know.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, it's a factor. It doesn't necessarily become the determinant, but it's a factor. I mean, and the thing here is the mother's milk of ATF tax stamps. That is becoming a pile of cash flow for an agency that suddenly that revenue stream was lost. And you can bet they were looking at that as a way to issue paychecks to themselves. That's an inherent conflict of interest.
I can't even imagine. I don't know if when they come out with numbers or even if they give us the numbers. But as soon as they said it's okay to shoulder a brace, how many people would be SBRing an AR-15 at this point? It has to be like 10%, if that. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the question is, was it noticeable? Was it noticeable for the time that it came out, that the first letter came out? Was there a noticeable impact on their tax income?
I bet you it was, because something had to start this, and I'll bet you that you're right, that they saw a massive decrease in
form. And they massively like, wait a minute, we're issuing out these for those who were SBRing and turning in forearms. Wait a minute, we're issuing these licenses way too fast.
Yeah, think of the dynamic.
Slow down with the shotguns or with the other stuff, so they probably went, yeah, it's just the SBR ARs and AKs for some reason.
Think of the dynamic here. My interpretation, my NFA granted power to do interpretation is directly related to whether I'm gainfully employed or not. That is a problem of epic proportion.
You're saying they think that their job might be in jeopardy if nobody needs to use them?
I don't necessarily know that to be a fact, but I say that they have a budget and they have to cut it just like all government agencies do, and I am sure they're used to that bottom line of X amount of revenue, and when that revenue stream is suddenly dried up, it has to come from somewhere. It has to come from somewhere.
But just a little background, the ATF does not get anything. They get zero from the taxes. The tax stamps goes directly into the main treasury. So I believe you, but I don't think it's an agency decision. It's probably somebody else who was like, hey, wait a minute, why'd your numbers drop? They should be going up.
I guess the point is,
things up
if they view this as an underperforming revenue stream, then there could be a conflict of interest. Let's just leave it at that.
You know what?
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
100%.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if a letter to the White House was involved, or a letter from the White House is involved in this. The ATF director, has a line to the White House, so I wouldn't be surprised if there, somebody on there, even if the White House chief of staff said something, they would have acted. So.
No, government agencies are political. I mean, the executive branch has authority over them. Now the law is what we all look to as a republic, not to be changed on somebody's whim, but that's where we see things like the EPA can regulate this, or the ATF can regulate that. All these laws that basically yield the healthcare law. Now we have a panel that can decide things. Well, what do you mean you can decide things? What does that mean? 12 unelected people now sit and make decisions whether you can have healthcare at some age. I mean, not something we want to live under. But once they have the power, sometimes that becomes hard to get them to relinquish. Well, that's what we hear. We hear you can't change something once it's installed. I mean, this law happens.
Hard to relinquish, almost impossible to take from them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the point needs to be we need to send our elected representatives to Washington to repeal bad laws. We don't need any new ones.
Yeah, well, I can say this: if prohibition can be null and void in 10 years, we can get rid of NFA. We just need a strong enough case.
Well said.
Yeah.
The
And
NFA isn't a constitutional amendment. They literally got rid of a constitutional amendment with the people getting pissed. So this is just a fucking federal law.
I don't know. I'm just saying that. I'm saying, hey, can't Congress get rid of NFA?
Sure, somebody can, but I guess I'm just saying it's not even as hard a fight as getting rid of the.
There you go. Yeah,
it's an easier fight.
Exactly, and so we need to do it because it's getting ridiculous.
Well,
somebody should start an organization to do just this specifically.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
So the thing is, it's ridiculous. The thing is, we are living under an umbrella. We are law-abiding citizens, and we're cowering over what laws we should obey. Isn't that what they want? I mean, they want us to be afraid that we can get arrested at any time for anything, just for being free. And that's the thing. That's what we have. We have to express that. Exactly. We need to a little bit more focus on criminals and stop fucking with us. Shit.
Well said.
Yeah, very well said.
But no,
there's a group that really promotes the Second Amendment and everything they stand for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are people out there who want the Second Amendment to be reworded as the right of the people to call the police shall not be infringed.
Unless their carrier has cut off their service, in which case it still can.
You know what, though? I looked at YouTube. Has anybody ever YouTube searched anti-gun? What do you get?
I've literally never searched that, and hopefully I never will.
You mostly get arguments against it. You never ever see an individual so hard up anti-gun, except for those knuckleheads that mothers like Moms Demand Action, Every Time for Gun Safety, stuff like that. But they are
and
weak.
then only after, when they're brought up from their wherever they live, they're brought up after a tragedy or whatever.
And they are weak as hell. Weak. When you put anything related to guns on YouTube, it's almost always positive. People, every walk of life, using firearms in a proper way, training, reviews. A lot of nobody's. You'll probably see a few gun fails here and there, but still, we are strong. Publicly, and the majority of Americans are not anti-gun. If our presence is much more better out there, and we need to get that known.
Well, you're right. I mean, we have very strong national support for firearms ownership right now, as strong as it's ever been, and as much ownership as there's ever been. We're just not collectively doing. We're individually supporting it. We're not collectively supporting it, and that's where we really got to make the change at.
What is the old saying? United we stand and divided we fall?
That's very well said. That's a very good phrase.
Well, we're working on that. Another thing I've seen lately is that the losers always scream the loudest. Okay, if you guys know what I'm talking about.
No, the loudest scream the loudest. The losers are the ones who weren't screaming loud enough at the time.
So people who are on the anti-gun side, who know they're on the losing side of things, who know that they're not getting their agendas, or at least not they're not getting their agendas done. They are screaming loud, not necessarily like YouTube, but they scream really loud, like Bloomberg, and every time some politician wants to, they scream really loud, and that's why we have to scream just as, if not more.
Well, they're making emotional pleas with propaganda to the populace through their use of. Let's face it, they get the evening news and all these other outlets
Oh yeah.
that the firearms community do not get access to. They
Yep.
never present a balanced argument. They present their interpretation only. And they have probably never touched a gun. They probably never left the classroom. They have a very blind view of the realities. So we have to make an environment where the truth can meet their emotions and win.
The best free, what do you call this? The best free press money can buy. We do have emotional pleas. Remember that Asian? There was I saw a YouTube commercial, a pretty long one, where this family was being home invaded, and the dad grabbed his HK, and he was under a magazine restriction and ran out of ammo, and
Well, that's a truth. That's a truth. Okay, that's a hard fact. We've got to get those introduced. I mean, the truth about Guns website. I mean, we talk about the statistic of defensive uses of a firearm versus the felonious use of a firearm, and if you stack those numbers, never get put out together. I mean, it's a non-issue for people who hate guns. I mean.
uh-huh. I don't know, if somebody just decides to come up to me and say, "Hey, we need more gun control. Other countries have good gun control, and I'll say, France.
Yeah,
Your argument's dead." Hello.
Well, I would look at history, not just France. I mean, look what basically do you want to live under a communist socialist society, or do you want to live in a free society? And the ability to defend
some of my
oneself.
friends would say socialist.
Some people don't mind living a socialist if they think that living socialist means they get welfare checks, free stuff,
Well, and that's what we're up against. I mean, the elections now turn on people who want a basket or a suite of goodies in exchange for their vote and could care less about rights.
Well, it's that they think that if everybody contributes equally, we'll all be better off. I mean, they're right if everybody would contribute equally, but they don't realize that human nature is not to contribute equally. Like, human nature is either to help out your fellow man or take advantage of your fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who take advantage of your fellow man will always succeed in a everybody cooperate environment, because they'll be like, "Oh, hey, can you help me out? I'm kind of not in a space where I can help out right now."
Now,
And the guy they're talking to will say, "Oh, yeah, no, sure, that's fine. I don't mind helping you out a little bit." And that guy's going to help him out a bunch, and then that person's going to end up either leeching off of or completely dominating that guy that's helping them.
see, I'm a balance. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I basically finished my statement.
Yeah. So me, I try to balance it too. I am a responsible guy. I pay my taxes. I work. I'm very responsible of my life, and I try not to get handouts. At the same time, I get VA checks every month. So it's okay to have, you if you work for what you get, I worked for that VA check. I got injured in service, so it's not like I did it. I just getting a handout because I'm PO.
Well, but the problem of it is people need. I mean, you can make a valid argument that people need assistance in many life situations. I don't see the American public resisting that. I guess what we get into is, are there those that don't need it? Those are the ones that hurt those that really do. I mean, look at that thing called the debt in the budget, and now we have politicians who are willing to extend the deficit, increase the unfunded liabilities in exchange for a vote. And do you think they want to hear a gun rights argument?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of arguments. I mean, come on now. There's just legislations what do you call this? Legislations on uh, s- uh, very mundane things like sriracha. but there's, but I mean, yeah, there's a lot of legislation. But let's go back a bit. First of all, DB, I love that show. 20 million NCIS checks a year. Love that show. Um, okay, I just want to go back to reiterate that, and I've said this before. You got a shitload of guns in this country. You know how much all these problems with gun violence is exaggerated. Would you guys agree?
Totally.
Agreed.
I mean, just
Well, it's
from
only if you look at it from the one side, but if you look at it as a percentage of the amount of guns, yeah, it's crazy.
statistically, right? That's what I was about to say. Statistically, and you have to pick a standard by which we'll measure things in a society, and there's an emotional side that would never allow that. Okay, if I had a feeling, well, then we must change law. That's not a republic. That's a that's not the Constitution by any stretch. So statistically, we look and analyze things. A democracy, right? I mean, basically, it can be red on Tuesday and blue on Wednesday because we decided to change it. And that's the democracy, right? And that's a very unstable form of government, which is kind of our argument with the SIG brace. I mean, a very unstable decision.
You can't. Here's the thing with the pros and cons of democracy. Yeah, you got a free people. People ruling themselves, some monarch deciding, you know what, heaven may be king, so fuck y'all, kind of government. That's an advantage. However, um, things change a lot in a democracy. There's too much. What do you say this? You can't get anything done in a true democracy because you can't. You don't.
You can have your rights removed in a democracy. You could
Yeah.
have.
Wait. The
Oh, that
majority.
happens real fast.
The majority can overrule the minority, even if the minority is not doing anything wrong.
Correct.
Even if there's a 49 to 51, that's a big percentage that you can turn the 49 into subversives overnight because 51% said this should be the rule, and you now have 49% subversives. That's bad. That's bad for the citizenry. You can't have that.
So we talk about a citizenry where mainly maybe 50% of them even turn out to vote, and then of that percentage, there's a large that no longer votes based on maybe liberty or freedom or the foundation of this country. They vote on personal interest, and that's where we're seeing the deterioration in being able to make logic or fact-based arguments. The problem of it is somebody comes along with a large chunk of money. I want to control guns. I want more gun control. I've got this big wad of money. What political party can I attach it to? Well, they found the Democratic Party, and they offered them a king's ransom to take up that cause. That was not initially the case, but the money now becomes attached to a political party message, and people unfortunately say I'm a D or an R, and then there you go. Now you've got everybody or a lot of people that just go pull the lever for the D and don't realize all the crap that's underneath of it. I mean, you can put free chocolate cake legislation on it, and then right underneath it, save the children by passing this gun law, and then people
As long as
check.
you realize the cake is a lie, you'll be okay.
I heard something about free cake.
I said the
Punch and
cake is
pie.
a lie.
Punch and pie? What?
All right, apparently that's a joke that's way too young for you old parts, so never mind.
Well, these 45s will work. So. Oh shit. Oh, crap. I swear, 1911s could be a bitch sometimes. one of my Hornady bullets got pushed in a little bit further on my 1911, and I just chambered it normally. It's like you can't put anything in these. You can't load anything in
Nah,
these.
that's why I started roll crimping on my bullets. I reload. I just take that variable out as best I can by crimping them.
No, these is factory rounds.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, this is roll crimp. All the factory rounds I've ever encountered don't have crimps.
Have you shot that since,
Yes, I
Chris?
shot this. Yeah, I was having problems with my original reloads like these. It was too high, the bullet was too high, so I shrunk them down to the minimum, and they were perfectly. They would fit in there now. So I can't wait to shoot this again with reloads.
Have you shot it with factory after that?
No, I've
No.
shot it. And my most successful reloads were Full Metal Jacket reloads. I actually have a set of Full Metal Jackets.
I'm just wondering if that feed ramp might be at the wrong angle.
I don't know. I polished it, so.
Yeah,
Might have
it can be. I'm sorry. It can be finicky. I went to start using some hard cast lead. I mixed in with soft lead, and I've overcome some problems that way. But reloading's
Yeah, I'm using powder coated lead, and the problem was the height. It should work now. I went. This is at minimum 1.19. The minimum. What do you call this? Heads. What do you call this?
COL
OAL.
overall length.
Overall length is 1.19, and I put it at the bare minimum. But I load only like minimum loads anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, if the bullet moves around in the casing, it can matter on you. That
Oh
factory.
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't move around the casing.
That factory.
Go ahead, sorry.
You said the Hornady collapsed back into the case on you.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
I am going to. I'm actually gonna go ahead and use the hammer to get it back out. Not all of it, but just. I'm gonna push the round out slowly.
Man, I would almost get a hold of Rock Island, talk to them. They might say send it back in, let them go through it.
Good. I don't know. Here's the thing. These are PDX. No, sorry, XTPs. Okay. 1911s are a bitch when it comes to points of any type. So the only thing that
I was going to say, I shoot Liberty through mine, and I mean, pretty much any hollow point I've shot through mine, it's eating them all. I mean, I've never had any trouble with ammo, Chris.
I had golden sabers once, and golden sabers would not load.
I'll go up to the Rock Island booth and go live with a hangout, and then you can talk to them directly.
There you go.
I'll talk to them in Tagalog. Okay, so you guys won't understand anything we say.
How do you know we don't speak that?
I was going to say, I saw on Facebook they've got the second building warehouse under roof now. So and that facility's out there in Arizona, isn't it? That new one.
What? Rock Island?
Rock Island. Yeah, they
I didn't know they have a facility here.
You should go work for Rock Island, dude.
Well, if they're in Phoenix, that'll be nice. Yeah, if they're here.
I didn't know they had something in Arizona. I'm going to be talking to him. I really want to interview the guy. I think he's cool as shit.
Boston? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to hammer this out a little bit and get it out a bit. But yeah, finally got this fixed. So what do you guys think? Should I take that SIG brace out, that Century Arms brace out?
Should you do what? Take it.
Definitely not the SIG brace as of today.
Definitely not what?
Definitely not.
Not shoulder it. I'm not going to shoulder it. Yeah, I'm not going to shoulder it as of today.
Exactly.
But so I don't know. Might as well. I don't know. Maybe I'll just give in and freaking form one it. I know it's registration, but oh well. I'm not gonna wait for
Hey,
another ATF to sympathize
having
with
your
us and say,
name
hey,
on
we
a
changed our
list,
mind again.
I'm sorry, having your name on a list somewhere in the government is a hell of a lot better than having your name list on the registered inmates at buttfuck prison.
I know, but that means, well, I'll just sell the damn thing then.
Yeah, and if you become a felon, you're definitely on a government list that says you can't have them.
Yeah, that's true.
It's better to be on
I'll
a
just
list
sell.
Then
that
you're on the
has
fucking
guns
list
than
and
a
you
list
can't have
that
them.
can't own guns.
Then you're on the game over
I know.
list.
I'll just sell it. Well, it looks like I'm gonna be selling the PAP.
Well, didn't you originally
Sell the
buy it with
brace
the
with it.
intention of SBR in it?
Yeah, yeah, that was my intention, and this was before this was before the brace. I was intention. I wanted to form one it, but you know what? If it logically, if if I put myself in danger by putting myself on the list, then I'll just go ahead and give up.
I don't think you're in any danger of being on the
I'll
list.
just
You
sell.
can't even count on me
You
buying
know
all
what? That's
right up there.
really, truly, and honestly the best attitude to have. Just give up when something doesn't quite go your way. I mean, I just can't do anything but agree with that attitude.
No, no, no.
Honestly,
It's not
when
that. It's
something
not
didn't
about.
go
It's not.
my way, I just gave up, and look where I am.
No, I'm talking about what choice do I have? I can't. Form one, it would be a problem for me, and a SIG brace is not legal now. So now I have just a pistol.
Well, the SIG brace gave us the ability to travel between states, which I think was the real beauty of that in many ways. I mean, the fact that you could go pay the stamp and then you've got to have imaginary lines where you become illegal again. This whole cobweb of crap bothers me. I mean, honestly, I have firearms. I've wanted the SBR. I have a lot of silencers I like to add to weapons. I haven't put 10 cents in any of it because I really want to. I don't like the fact my resources have to go. I mean, $2,000-3,000 just to NFA stuff I'd like to own. I mean, you can try to justify it to yourself, and many people can. I mean, to me, it's almost a principled argument where, you know what, I'll just keep the stuff the way it is and work on doing what I see is right. I mean, we all could make the argument. I don't want to rant on that, but to me, the SIG brace was a door that got opened, and the door that I like, well, no, several doors open. The intrastate capability, the ability to potentially have the equivalent of an SBR without the tax. Now, I think we really need to go fight this, Chris. I mean, I wouldn't like go making knee-jerk reactions on any weapon I owned, even if I had a SIG brace. I would wait and see, and really start encouraging people to get involved in repealing this crap.
You know,
I mean, good grief. I
the
mean,
reason why I'm sorry. The reason why I said that is because that's the feeling people will get. I'm just saying, you know what? I still haven't made a decision, but you know what? That's I'm so pissed off about this. What am I going to do as a law-abiding citizen? I want to go SBR it, but that's going to put me
no,
in
you
a
got a nice Pat pistol right now. That's about it.
so now, it put me on a risk, and shouldering that brace on the range can now get me in trouble. So it's very disheartening, and I know, you know what? Trust me, I'm with everybody. I would love to get rid of a fucking NFA. You know.
Think about this though. You can still buy the brace as long as you only intend to put your arm through the Velcro and hold it and have it strapped to your forearm like you're supposed to.
Yeah,
In
you
which
know what?
case, it's still like 10 times better than it is just holding it by that pistol brace with nothing.
Good point.
And you know the problem though is I can't aim worth shit when I had that.
Well, yeah, but
If
now
we
you
put it
can have
here,
one
I'm
strapped
like,
to each arm, so you can shoot them like two at a time, like old Jerry Mikulik did.
yeah. Well, I needed two guns, so.
Well, buckle up and stay tuned because you're going to see the SHOT Show reaction. You're going to see some other gun organization actions. You're going to see some people like myself putting letters out there and trying to coordinate an effort. The it's time to push back. I don't think it's an ATF issue. I think it's an NFA issue. As long as they can interpret or redefine your intentions to be illegal, I mean, that's just disturbing. I mean,
Here's a question I just thought of. Like, you know how, like, if you have a non-SBR'd AR lower, but you have a 7.5-inch upper, they can call that constructive intent,
Yeah.
and you can get in trouble for that. What
if you
happens
put
if
them
you
together,
have,
I think you can.
what happens if you have a SIG
That's
brace
not
and a
universal.
pistol upper?
That's
At
not
what
a
point
federal
does that
thing.
become
That's only a
constructive?
few states that prohibit assembly. They've already had multiple cases where having an AR-15 pistol and an AR-15 does not constitute
No. Without a pistol lower.
No, you can have any parts. Like I say, that's not a federal thing. That's just a Washington State was like that for a bit. I think Michigan, probably New York and California, but not federally. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to own AK full auto triggers in a parts kit. That's been clarified years ago. Although they can be designed at any time.
Never mind that. I'm just thinking, like, I'll be really surprised. Actually, the separate thought I had. I'll be really surprised if Sig Sauer itself, with its new president, the guy who used to be the head of AAC until Big Green bought him out and ruined him. I'll be really surprised if Sig Sauer doesn't take him to court on this. And if they don't, then they're a whole bunch of fucking.
I don't think. I think that we talked about this earlier too. There's a case to where they submitted an intention of how that would be used, and that has not been changed. So I don't know that SIG. I think DB made this point where that SIG could come back and suddenly complain that something we didn't request is no longer allowed. So I think there's a problem with that. I think that
he's almost always wrong though. So
okay, well we can go with that assumption then and just say that he was wrong. So the context, I think, of the original letter and the reversal of intent can be used to show how convoluted of a system we're under and start, showing that illegal touching now. I mean, my goodness, it's like a official who said you were going to pass play in a football game and you touched illegally or something. I don't get it. I mean, literally, this is about being accurate with a gun. I mean, you want us to be inaccurate to protect people? Is that the context we're under? I don't know. Anyway, lots of arguments to be made here that show the absurdity of all this, and this to me is a crisis that we don't let go to waste. We've learned from our radical leaders that don't let a crisis go to waste, and I think we should rally behind this and use it in a unified, constructive way, not just a way to show ourselves, but a way to do what we know how to affect change in this country, and that's by applying the political pressure in the right places as a group of people with a single voice, not as a bunch of individuals with different, maybe formed, complaints. I mean, it's the natural thing that happens without leadership, which is something I think we hear it time and time again. The NRA, the NRA, the NRA, and that's just a non-issue for me, and I think it should be for others too. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. It doesn't prevent us from stepping up and doing what we need and want to do.
Hey, let me ask you a question that's off topic completely. When you think of an extended magazine, what firearm do you think of?
Glock 17.
Okay.
Glock 17, yeah. Glock 15 or a shorter Glock with a 30 round clip.
Okay.
What caliber is a Glock 15?
So then,
Like a
let me ask it a
third
different way. What guns are iconic because of their long magazines? I think of something like a Mac-10, where it doesn't look right
Oh
because
yeah,
it's got
yeah.
its long
Do you
mag.
mean
I
like
mean,
a
like,
long
Uzi and Mac.
magazine
Yeah,
or an
extended,
over
like,
factory capacity magazine?
no, like one that sticks out, an extendo. Like, what do you think? Like, what common guns come to mind? Like, say, like a Mac-10, a Uzi.
I mean, I'm a product of the '90s, so I always think the term banana clip sticking out the bottom of an AK. But I mean, like with my actual like gun uh, not industry, but like gun community experience, I would have to say still the Glock 17 because I've seen so many of them as opposed to everything else. It's just what I think of. Either that or the MP5.
Think of Thompson.
Well, really quickly before we go, the link about that robot is badass.
Yeah, 1.5 mil. You can get one.
I would understand. That's actually fairly cheap for something that starts like that. I'm not talking about me buying it. I'm talking about governmental wise. That's cheaper than the tank. That can easily be mass produced.
You should see the video of her giving the instructions about getting in it,
Oh yeah,
driving it.
you'll see that in the freaking streets of freaking in the Middle East one day.
And I guess the guns shoot when the driver is lying at the target.
It's hydraulics now, but one day once they invent the artificial musculature, that thing is we can make robots like this a little bit more feasible. But this is awesome.
But yeah, Pahrump, Nevada. That's
Pahrump?
their new
Pahrump.
Pahrump. Yeah, that's the new facility there.
You know what? Filipinos in Las Vegas, I swear. I would almost every time I go to Vegas, I see like minivans full of like the mom, the dad, the mother-in-law, the uncle, the nephews, the cousins, and the children. One minivan. But yep, no, from Nevada. Okay, well, hopefully they'll come down to. You know what? There are almost no, other than Ruger. Is there any other gun manufacturers in Arizona?
I
That
don't know.
like decent ones. Ruger is it in Prescott, and then we got a lot of ammo manufacturers, but we don't have a gun. Other than Ruger, we don't have anybody else. So this would be an ideal
That's
place to make guns.
That's one more firearms manufacturer than resides in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, I think we're a free. We're very much a free country, and I don't know, free state, and we don't have any. This would be a great place for gun manufacturers.
I agree.
I was watching that video about that robot or whatever. So, did you say you think Arizona would be a good state for gun manufacturers?
Yep.
If you do that, you encourage a bunch of gun manufacturers. They're going to eat up all your lead, dude.
Wait, government and
Especially since we don't have a lead
no. Gun
Let
manufacturers
it
don't
go
make
around.
lead. No, gun manufacturers don't do lead. That's ammo manufacturers. We have a lot of those here in Arizona.
No,
And
but
my sort,
stuff, practically like test fire and stuff. They'll shoot up all your
they
lead.
don't test fire that much.
I'm
Shit.
gonna make a gun manufacturer, and all my guns are gonna be made out of lead.
Gunsight makes uses a lot more lead than Ruger ever will.
But most of their ammo is bought out of state. It's shipped there.
All right, here's what I want to do. I looked at this other robot one. I first was looking at that robot one where he hits the old lady. Now I'm looking at this real robot suit that's cost $1 million only.
Mm-hmm.
So why not get 2 people at least, or maybe more, to Kickstarter these things? Like Kickstart, use crowdsourcing to get a robot and then have robot battles.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought you were gonna say, why
That'd
don't
be
you get like
awesome.
2 people to power a really, really, really huge one? They
Well, I
call it
figure
like
you
a
could
Jaeger or
kickstart it by
something. You just
saying
use
like
it to fight
$100
off
you get to drive the
lightsabers.
suit around.
What was that?
Oh, sorry. I was saying like you could probably kickstart it by saying $100 a pop, and then you get to drive the suit around.
Could
Like,
you could you could you see one of those Pacific Rim movie robots with Biker Bob and Chris in it piloting?
Oh
yeah,
my gosh!
the,
No,
the
Not
Canadian
gonna
is always
happen.
trying to step on Chris's toes.
Not gonna happen. I'm not want to get in the, I don't want to get in his head, and I definitely don't want in mine. Fuck
dude,
that.
Chris
Oh,
would
you're
get
I'm
saying
pissed
gonna,
like
I'm
on
gonna,
an
off
actual
real
mind
fast.
meld or
I'm gonna
whatever,
have
Biker
and
to.
then
Bob
they
would be
fight each
laughing the
other.
whole time. It'd be terrible.
I do not want to get his randomness and what do you call this? His, his mind wandering mind in my head. You're
Well,
like,
what about if they were normal robots where you just pilot your own? Would you robot fight, Bob?
fuck yeah.
He'd be all like in reverse with like the lights on or something. Bang, bang, bang.
He'd have his starry cannon attached to his left hand and his laughing, cackling cannon attached to his right hand, and he wouldn't be able to hurt Chris at all. It'd be a massacre. I was going to call it a giggle cannon, but it'd be more like a wheeze cannon.
I think we got some potential here.
Dude, I would pay good money to watch that. Not a lot, but I'd pay a couple of dollars of good money.
I always wish I could find a simple way to do like South Park animation for like current gun topics or just funny things that enter our mind, kind of like, the show the history of 1968.
Really?
Some way just to do quick and simple cartoons to.
Dude,
There's
South
that
Park
app that does
for
it.
years was made with cardboard cutouts. Oh, sorry, not cardboard, construction paper.
All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Take care.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Well, there's sites out there that you just type what you want the little characters to say, and then the little cartoon characters say it for you. And then you don't remember, like for a long time, that's how people would troll people on YouTube. They would just use the cartoons and just create up a fake account and just make it say all kinds of raunchy shit. Anyway, you can put the cartoons in different scenarios and shit. So there's got to be ways to do that stuff.
Yeah, I've seen those. I just never found any that would play out animation easily. You always get these funny ideas or thoughts that you can't hire the Hollywood cast to do, but you could create knockoffs of their characters and do your own like South Park spoof type. Make a point to quickly react to the Bloombergs of the world. Show the absurdity of the situation in a way that people will be entertained and can watch, which is back to kind of your point. Have to make your message entertaining.
So just to be clear, without the SIG brace, you can shoulder it then, right?
As far as we know, yes. So don't send him a letter.
Yeah.
Oh, that. God almighty, how long before that one shows up?
Yeah.
Here's the fucked up tinfoil hat part. Does it really even have to show up? They can either just react for no reason, or they could make a fucking letter. How are we supposed to know? And
That's
in
exactly right.
reaction to this fake ass letter, here's another step.
Yep, that's my beef right there. Interpretation.
It
Well,
allows the guard to decide the rules. You can't name anything where you let the
True.
actual
But
charge.
there's one thing you're not realizing. If we don't, like, the guard may decide on it tomorrow, but if we say, hey, guard, what the hell do you think about this? He'll have to decide on it tomorrow. If we don't alert him to it, he may not decide on it for 5 years or 10 years or ever. But if we bring it to his attention first thing in the morning, he's going to rule on it before lunch.
Well, yeah, but I totally agree with you. It's just that there's no way to you can't even decide to like. We almost never decide on anything as a group, even 50-50 split. We end up getting fractions with the minority and 3 or 4 or 5, maybe more different
I
points of
don't
view.
agree with you.
Well, there you have it.
All right, guys. It's been fun. It's been controversial, and I think I've learned a little bit. Maybe everybody else has too. Probably not, though. So I'm going to go to bed.
I'm out of here too. Good chat, guys.
Same here.
Yeah,
Good
see
talking to
you
you
guys.
guys.